Hello. Welcome to the channel. Today is June 24th. This episode is related to EHang. In this episode, we are going to share our observations and opinions on things and activities related to EHang. First, about today's untypical and puzzled EHang stock movement. Unless there is big news, EHang stock normally follows Chinese Tech Stock Index ETF KWEB and Nasdaq Tech Index QQQ very well. But today was an interesting exception. EH stock and NEO stock normally followed the index and behaved similarly. Before we check the EH stock movement, let's see the NEO stock. Here is the today's one-day chart for comparison between NEO and the KWEB index and QQQ index. Here is the chart for NEO with significant increase 4.47% today. Here is the chart for KWEB with significant increase 3.69%. And here is the chart for QQQ with significant increase 3.43%. The horizontal black line in each chart is corresponding to previous day's close price with no increase or decrease. As you can see, like KWEB and QQQ, NEO stock remained increased or up above the black line for the whole day. Today, NEO followed KWEB and QQQ index very well. Now, let's see the same comparison for EH. Here is the chart for EH. In comparison with KWEB and QQQ. Pay attention to the horizontal black line. Unlike KWEB and QQQ index, EH remained down or below the black line except near the open or the close. For almost the whole day, EH was down except at the start and at the end. There is no news for EH. This appears unusual and interesting. Let's check the details and discuss the possible cause. Here is the stock chart for EHang today. The previous day close price is 9.78. At the open, the stock gapped up a bit to 9.85. And then started to climb sharply to above 10 and reached the peak at 10.19 with decent 4.2% up. After the peak, the stock steadily declined for about 1.5 hours, and reached a low here at 9.45 with significant 7.8% down. The total swing from the peak to the low was as big as 12%. After the low, the stock maintained flat for an extended period of time. Then the stock started to steadily climb for about 1.5 hours and closed at 9.96 with 1.84% increase and complete recovery from the deep loss. The trading volume is 497,127, which is above the average volume 450080. EH today's stock movement was unusual. But it did not appear random. It was likely by design. Next, let's discuss why EH today's stock movement pattern was likely by design. 1. Big deviation from the indexes. As you can see from the comparison, the EH stock movement deviated greatly from the indexes in terms of the movement pattern and the deviation scale. There was no big news. This big deviation was not likely caused by the routine randomness. 2. Symmetric movement pattern. Today's movement pattern was almost symmetric. As you can see, for the first 1.5 hours, the stock declined. For the last 1.5 hours, the stock increased. For the middle, the stock remained flat. This symmetric movement pattern was not likely caused by the routine randomness. As such, EH today's stock movement pattern was most likely by design. Next, let's discuss why EH today's stock movement pattern is good for stock accumulation by the designer. EHang stock has a very low total number of floating shares for trading, and the stock may be easily manipulated by institutions. EH today's stock movement pattern was most likely by design. The designer was likely to be an investment institution who wants to accumulate the stock. And this may be reflected well by the symmetric movement pattern. For the first 1.5 hours, the institution forced the stock to decline steadily. Then the institution kept the stock to remain flat and accumulated shares. The accumulation was kept as slow as possible to maintain the movement being flat, and avoid large buying orders and sudden price increase during the large buying orders. Since the accumulation was slow, the process took the extended time. This may explain why the flat accumulation period was long. After the accumulation was done, the institution let the stock to follow the index. As a result, for the last 1.5 hours, the stock increased and recovered from the decline. As you may feel, this explained the seemingly strange pattern very well, and implied the stock accumulation by institutions, which is good news if true. Next, about EHang new partner in Haikou, Hainan and the first test flight in the city. First EH216 flight in Haikou, Hainan by Hainan Xinghe General Aviation Company, Ltd. Here is a related image. In this image, the partner company is setting a big poster board for the flight event. On the poster board, here the text inside the circle says, EHang. EH Nasdaq listed. This text line says, EHang Intelligent EH216. This line says, Passenger Autonomous Aerial Vehicle. The bottom line says, Hainan Xinghe General Aviation Company, Ltd. This is another image showing the first flight. Next, let's know a bit about Haikou and its location on the map. Here is Haikou. Haikou, a port city in the capital of China's island province Hainan, sits on the island's north coast facing the mainland across the Cheongzhou Strait. Here is Sanya. In previous episodes, we have mentioned a few EHang partners and their flights in or near Sanya. The driving distance between Haikou and Sanya is about 4 hours. The location looks like a scenic area with planned flight service for air tourism. Next, let's see a related video clip. The local partner company's staff is preparing the big poster board for the first flight event. The EH216 AAV for the flight is being moved to the takeoff area. The EH216 unit has the white body without being rebranded yet. You can see tropical plants in the surroundings. Almost ready for taking off. Taking off. The AAV can be controlled and monitored by a laptop computer on site or remotely by Control and Dispatch Center. Landing. Without the need of pilot, the partner company can quickly set up and provide the service. By the same tokens, many other companies in China can do the same. As time goes on, we may see more and more such partner companies. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.